Are we ready? Okay, thank you for coming tonight, everybody. Tuesday, March 15th. Regular council meeting will be called to order. If you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. If I could get a motion.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item is the consent agenda.
I'd like to
I'd move.
Move
second.
second, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. At this time, we have open forum. This is a chance for the public to make comments on anything that is not on the agenda. If you have an agenda item you wish to discuss, we'll give you time to do so when it is addressed. So we will open forum. Seeing no one, we will close open
Mr.
forum.
Mayor,
Yes.
I wonder, it's a little unusual, but I got a phone call from an area resident about a week ago. And she asked me to bring up an issue for the council, the next meeting. It involves deer on South Lake Hubert Drive and dogs in the area chasing the deer. And she was very upset. And I said I would bring it up to make the city aware of the issue. And maybe if the police department are out cruising around, they could check the area out to make sure there's no dogs running at large and chasing the deer.
That would, okay. And that would also be something that she should contact the DNR about,
Yeah,
because they will keep an eye on that too.
I'm just doing what I told her I would do for her.
Okay. Anything else for open forum? No. Report, city administrator. Do you have anything to Kiki? None? City attorney?
None.
City engineer?
I'm gonna go with the crowd, nothing.
Okay. Okay, new business, Lakes Area Food Shelf. This is an update from Kathy Adams, the director. Kathy? If you could come up to the podium and just state your name and make sure the mic is on. There we go. Okay. And you can adjust that to whatever works.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, my name is Kathy Adams, and I am the director of Lakes Area Food Shelf. Thank you very much for giving us a chance to provide you with an update on the food shelf. As you know, we've been serving this area for 30 years now. I have with me one of our board members, Dale Carlson, and he's actually going to provide the update.
Okay.
Thank you. The Lakes Area Food Shelf is grateful to have served the surrounding communities here, Nisswa, Lakeshore, Breezy Point, Pequot Lakes, and Jenkins. We've been doing that since 1980. Our mission is to provide supplemental food assistance to folks that are facing food insecurity. It is a community food shelf, meaning it belongs to everyone. Everyone is invited. We welcome our friends, our neighbors, businesses, churches, volunteers. It's a food shelf and we're here to serve. Our goal is to be a temporary resource for our friends and neighbors, providing food assistance and also connecting them to other resources and services that will help them address some of the economic and social barriers they're up against, whether it be job training, transportation, mental health issues. We're here to help. Our hours of operations are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 until noon, Wednesday afternoons from 3 until 6. We offer inside service. They can come in and grab the food that they like, or if they feel more comfortable, they can call ahead. We'll have the food boxed and ready to bring to their car. So whatever they prefer. We also offer a delivery service, as there are some folks that just don't have transportation to get in and get the food. Oftentimes people are asking who's using the food shelf. It's seniors that are living solely on Social Security. Maybe they had an unexpected health condition that has put them in a peril financially. There's working parents. You know, we've seen rent increases of 30 and even 50% in the last couple of years. So that's been a hindrance to them. Grandparents, today there was somebody in this morning caring for their grandchildren, or vice versa. Somebody bringing in their elderly parents and helping them, whether they have medical issues and things like that. The unemployed, we've seen quite a variety of very unusual situations the last couple of years, and those are pandemic related, where folks were hospitalized with COVID, some lost jobs and this and that. So there's a myriad of reasons, and we're here to help. Just to give you an idea of some of the numbers that are served, in 2020, 4,221 folks were served. And those are, the way we do the counts is when a family comes in on a weekly basis, we will ask how many folks in the family. And if it's a family of 6, we'll count it as 6 for that week as they're getting food that week. This year, or excuse me, in 2021, it was up about 10%, 4,657 were served. As far as a breakdown of the demographics of that, 1,337 were children 17 and below, 2,300 were adults between 18 and 64, and 1,019 were seniors over 65. The need has increased dramatically this year. January, we served 664 individuals compared to 286 last year. In February, 655 compared to 256 last year. So it's roughly 2.5 times the number we saw a year ago. Of that, the Nisswa Lakeshore is a little over 14%. So about 660 Nisswa Lakeshore residents benefited this past year. In the old days, there were strict geographic boundaries of who could come into the food shelf, had to be folks in that area. There is an open boundary policy, as sometimes there is a stigma attached with the food shelf, and people would rather go to a neighboring community where they're really not known. But some people feel just more comfortable going to another area. In 2021, we distributed 130,000 pounds of food. The majority of that comes from Second Harvest, which is the food bank in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. And we also have some outstanding partners that are helping us with food rescue. Here in town, we've got Schaefer Foods, an excellent, outstanding partner, as is the Pequot Lake Super Value, Cub Foods in Baxter, and Country Hearth, where we get a lot of baked goods there, or bread every week. We purchase much of our fresh produce from Braxted Farms, which is just outside of Pequot Lakes. Each year we have the Christmas tour of homes, and you probably saw that this past year as a great fundraiser. It ran right out of the Nisswa Chamber office here, and we had 2 homes that were on display, and it was a great fundraiser for us. 2022 will be a challenging year as we need to raise increased funds. We budgeted 85% increase in food costs year over year. That was assuming another 10% growth. Again, we've got the skyrocketing food costs that you folks see every day as you're shopping. We also have a void in government programs that we're expecting for this year. Those are the government programs providing low and no cost food items to the food pantries. So we're seeing a large increase in the numbers. Generally last year in April, we saw 15 to 17 families a day. Today it's closer to 35 and sometimes even 45 a day. So year over year, again, we're budgeting about an 85% increase in food costs. Plus we've got now this lift in numbers that really are unbudgeted. However, we come with hat in hand today. So not to disappoint you, but we will have an ask. We're operated primarily by volunteers. There's about 30 of us. We have 2 part-time employees, our executive director, Kathy Adams, and we also have a bookkeeper. We rely on charitable giving to meet our annual budget needs. We have I just want to, before I ask for dollars, I would like to just share a few quotes from 4 folks that have come through the food shelf. We do surveys and try and ask them if we're providing what they need. And I'll just quickly go through those. I come to the food shelf for food because at the end of the month, there is nothing left. But I want to tell you that when I come here, I feel like I am coming to see friends. Everyone who works here is kind and caring, and they never make me feel like I am being judged. I never expected I would need to come here, but it was before I'd agreed to take in my grandkids. I can't make it work any other way. And then the third one, is it important to me that you know how grateful we are for this food? I don't know what we would do if we couldn't come in here. The food we get here, it helps my family survive. I want you to know that. This is about our survival. It's just that. And then the last one, I shouldn't need to come here. I have a full-time job. I'm a professional, but I have children. I get no child support. And now I care for my brother and my father. Both of them have special needs. Sometimes it's just all too much. So I share those just to give you an idea that there are folks that are very, very appreciative. We gave out about 130 Thanksgiving meals last year, and I would invite each of you to come if you want to see tears of joy in one day. You'll be surprised. I worked it for the first time last year, and I was shocked at how many people really had gratitude to get the meal. But we'd invite each and every one of you to the food shelf to tour it, see firsthand the work that's being done. We've got a healthy selection of fresh fruits and vegetables. We've got a new layout. We've upgraded our freezers and coolers. We've added some ADA doors with the help of some grants from the local Lions Club here in Nisswa. So we've got some pretty cool things going on there. So as far as the future of the food shelf, it's an exciting time for Lakes Area Food Shelf as our board is entering a visioning and strategic planning process. We want to hold some focus groups to understand what the needs of the communities are. We want to understand the existing resources that are out there and how we might work together to develop a network of services to help our friends and neighbors be the most productive they can be. So in closing, I'd like to thank you again for your support and the opportunity that you've given us to share with you the Lakes Area Food Shelf. We would like to ask for your financial support. Today we're in the middle of a food drive. It's a fundraising effort that it started the 28th of February. It goes through the 10th of April. And what that is, donations, the state of Minnesota challenges all the food shelves to raise money, and there's matching funds that are available then it's a pot of money that's divvied out based on how much everybody collects. So we have an opportunity to get matching funds for dollars we're getting. So donations are definitely appreciated. So on a personal level, I guess I'd like to just ask you if you know of anybody that needs any assistance with food or that we can help them in any way. Please let them know that the food shelf is there. There is no shame in coming. We're there to help, and we'd love to serve them. Number two is you're looking at your own personal donations for this coming year. We'd love to have you consider the Lakes Area Food Shelf. It's something that I've been involved in now for last couple of years and get very passionate about it. And lastly, I do have a letter I'll leave behind just to ask for, we're asking the city of Nisswa for $5,000 or whatever you folks think would be reasonable. Anything you consider is greatly appreciated, and I'll take questions if anybody has any.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. We sincerely
One
appreciate the
question is,
opportunity.
where are you physically located?
We're physically located about a mile south of Pequot Lakes on the east side of Old 371.
Okay.
There's a Grace United Methodist Church. We're on the south side of that. We share the driveway with them. We're the south side. It's a very nondescript gray building across from Crowing Auto Body and just north of that boat dealer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening.
Thank you.
Yep.
City appointments, item number 2. This is just basically with the reappointment of, or with the appointment of Jonathan, and with moving around with some of the things. We're just basically amending everything so it's all copacetic. So if there's anyone had a
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Well, yeah, it's basically mayor pro tem.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I'm not here, Don's the,
I have the lash.
yeah.
Mhm.
So. And he uses it.
We know how it feels.
So if there aren't any questions, I could get a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2022 council liaison appointments as presented.
I'll second that, but I think we should put the date, the March 15th, 2020, not to be confused with.
Right.
yearly.
There are actually two, one's appointments, the second one is council liaison. So we'll have to do liaisons after we do appointments. That's all she has it on here, so we have a motion for city appointments as amended, correct?
Yeah, as amended, please.
As of this. date.
As of this date.
As of this date.
We have a motion? We had a
I
second?
believe we did.
Oh, we did, okay.
Yep.
Everybody's
We
on.
didn't vote on it though.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3, city council liaison appointments are on the back. If anyone has a question or with those. If not,
Nope.
I'll move them.
And I'll second that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request for proposal for Parks Master Plan. Amber,
Good evening. If you guys remember at the last meeting, we decided to go forth with drafting a master plan. So you guys had a copy of that in your packet. Attached with that is my best guess at a possible timeline. I do have 5 companies that I'm gonna send it off to, all found from the Minnesota Park and Rec Association website, as well as posting it locally in the paper, should you guys want to move forward with it. So if you guys have any questions on the specific of the plan, I'm happy to answer them. But if it is something you want to move forward with, in order to keep the timeline, we might want to consider having Jenny and Mayor Ryan execute the contract, if you guys are okay with that.
I had a couple of questions, but I'll have to dig through my pile here to. You might want to talk to amongst yourselves for a second.
Well, Amber, honestly, I've grown up in this town and I've had a lot of time spent at that park as a young man walking over from Nisswa Elementary to play broom ball, and I got the confidence to learn how to skate. And then I've been skating as an adult since. Created the Pickle Pond Hockey League with you, and it's been a pleasure working with you now, being up here with these gentlemen. It's also great to see that you have such dedication to this park, and this is the first step, I think, in, I'm not gonna call it rebranding, but it's gonna define the city and the tourism base that we have coming through here on our peak months, that I think this is gonna be great. So Don, was that enough time for you?
I'll say, based on our lifespans of everything and the current infrastructure, I think this is a really good step for us to make good, solid strategic plans, knowing that so many different infrastructure things are gonna be nearing the end of their life. So I think this is a critical step in the community's needs, determining those, how to grow with it appropriately, because this will determine the next, 15 plus years. So.
Right.
I found it.
go ahead, Don.
Had a couple of questions. On the first page, under current parks and recreation system consists of, it seemed to me there's something missing here that's pretty big. We have 2 state trails which meander through the city, and no place in this request do we mention them taking a look at this, how we can interface with the state trails. And I was thinking that we should be looking at that. We're gonna have a lot of traffic on those 2.
Sure.
We also have a lot of water resources, and except for boat dock, I didn't see anything. The city is half water. And we should not forget that one reason that people come up here is for the water, the fishing, the swimming, having fun and stuff like that. I'm just making suggestions, doesn't mean you have to do them.
So,
She's probably thinking, I'm not going to do them anyway.
no, I think it's definitely part of the discussion and assessing everything and how to interconnect it all. And the reason they're not in there is because we're not the governing body of them. But I do think it is critical to have those working dynamics with the DNR and making sure that we have safe movement and everything between it all.
Then on page 5, at the very top, A, B, and C, I'm just questioning, do we need these, that section A, B, and C at all? Because we went through the strategic plan for the city comp plan, and we gathered a lot of information that seems to me this might be doubling down on that. That was just my impression.
I was not a part of that, so I'm not sure what has happened. When I think of the community engagement, I think this is a critical step. One, we need to do it in order to qualify for grant funding for any updates that we would want at City Park that may qualify. So we have to have a community engagement to qualify for those grants. But in terms of coming up with the concept design and what different amenities to put in the park, I think that would be the hope in the focal point of those community engagements to figure out, do we want 2 full sheets of ice? Do we need 2 sheets of ice? Do we want a roof? Do we not want a roof? Do we want a mega playground?
Well,
Do we
you
want a
might-
dog park?
You might go back and look at the plan because there were several meetings talking about stuff like that. And if it's a duplicate, I don't know, I just throw it
Okay.
out. Down at the very bottom of page 5, under additional alternative Camp Lincoln Road parcels. The way I read that, are you asking them to do a separate master plan for Camp Lincoln Road that we may or may not do anything with? Are you asking them to do that now, or are you just alerting them to the fact there might be 2?
Under the cost section, it is specifically itemized that we want a cost breakout for them to do the 3 schematic designs for Camp Lincoln as well. So we do have a part of the agreement with the county is that we do have to put in that bathroom. So on some level, we'd have to do some sort of design and making sure we put the parking lot and bathroom in an appropriate place. So we wanted to have that as a add alternate option, knowing that this is coming. We have a time limit on this. And so one thought I had behind it is we already have the community's engagement. Let's ask the questions now instead of trying to do it again in a year or 2. But wanted to put it as an alternate as we don't know what cost this will bring.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening, I'm sorry.
Just another question. Down and under D on the same page, page 5. Desired level of program details should be sufficient to accurately project construction costs. I'm wondering about project costs. I think you want to know fairly accurately how much the whole plan will cost, but I don't know if they can in this document project the construction cost. They'd have to know the price of lumber in 2 years and everything. Or am I reading something into it that's not supposed to be there? If I'm building a house and they.
Sure. Yeah, and that,
I almost perceive that as the desired level of program detail should be sufficient to then accurately project construction costs. So a post.
Change the language slightly. Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, Don, but I think we all know that it's gonna go up and down. And as I know Jenny usually, when she asks, usually projects like cost projections or, what's the COLA gonna be and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. The way
you're
it
never
was-
gonna be 100% on.
The way it was written,
Okay.
I thought they were looking at a little more detail done that. My general impression was you went to a lot of work to put this together, but I think it's going to be a very expensive plan. And where's the money coming to pay for it? Did we give you that?
I think at the last meeting, we discussed taking it out of the unreserved.
The money for the survey
Yeah,
or for the actual work? I believe that was.
and
Yeah.
nothing's, putting the proposal out there does not have a cost other than me
Yeah.
posting the ad in the paper. It would be,
Just
This isn't obligating us to actually do
Correct.
it.
but I think we discussed taking out of the unreserved or the general funds, not out of the park budget.
It's only money.
Exactly. There you go. There's the spirit.
Wasn't. I'm dangerous when I have time at home to read stuff.
Good questions, Don.
I like what you put together. Thank you.
Thank you.
So and it is gonna be expensive, but people gotta decide what they want. I did take this and I did go downtown, talk to some business people about what the park means to them. I mean, do they really see an increase in business because of the park? And they all said that they have people come in, dad and the kids stay at the park, or the kids and the older kids take care of the younger kids at the park, and then mom and auntie go shopping type stuff. So, I mean, I was curious, and so I asked, and that's what they're telling me. So,
It's a place
you.
to be midday all summer.
mhm. So, are there any further questions for Amber? So, we need a motion, request for proposal for Parks Master Plan.
I'd like to move that we approve the REP for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan as presented here today.
I will second.
Don, further discussion?
No.
Okay,
Does this include authorizing post recommendation for? Never mind. I'm a step ahead of myself.
okay.
I was
yeah,
like, for Jenny and Aaron
exact-
next.
I know where.
One
you're
step
saying.
ahead.
Yep, okay. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
F5, recommendation for Parks Commission seat vacancy. Shirley Johnson?
Sherry
Sherry,
Johnson,
Sure.
yeah.
sorry.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mr. I'll move that we approve the recommendation of Sherry.
I second it.
discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fire Department budget, 2022 fire contracts. These are the contracts for the entities that we service, Lakeshore, Pelican Township, City of Pequot Lakes. We have a little piece of theirs that we service. City of Nisswa. I think that's it. There's 5 of them. We met with them. We had an open budget meeting with the fire department. Lake Edwards Township came, they were good with it. At this point, we're just looking to approve the contracts for 2022.
So not all the cities have said yes to the contract yet.
They didn't say no. That's what we were trying to get out of them at that meeting, and it sounds like, from what my understanding is that they are good with it. We would have liked to have done this earlier, but we had to wait to get information from the county, which came out very late in 2021. So by the time they got all the information, they were able to.
Mr. Mayor, I think the way we did it last year, and I'll move it this way. I'll approve contracts for the fire department budget as proposed in 2022 for the city of Lakeshore, Lake Edward Township, Pelican Township, the city of Pequot Lakes, and is effective as soon as the individual cities have signed the documents necessary.
Correct. And Lake Shore or Lake Edward Township did sign. Okay.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Police Lexapro information and resolution for Sourcewell. Chief Taylor?
And good afternoon. First, I'd like to welcome Jesse. It's nice to see a young face up there. And regarding the dog and deer call, that was reported to us and we are aware of it, so. I gave you the information about what I'm looking for. I can answer questions to the best of my ability about what Lexapol is, but I'm still learning and, you know, we still have a lot of things to do before we'd get to the point where we'd actually implement it if we decide that that's what we want to do. But as of now, we're just trying to utilize Sourcewell as a funding source for the initial startup costs, as well as a year or two of operating or, you know, maintenance costs. And Sourcewell's asked that the communities within the Region 5 area all, you know, get a resolution if they're interested in pursuing Lexapol. And then that way they have a better idea of what they're looking at as far as what it would cost for funding. So this is their requirement. It just allows them to proceed on our behalf as far as costs go. It does not at all bind us to actually utilizing Lexapol. But I think it's, you know, if we do agree to pass a resolution, that we'll have to have some more discussions about what it is, how it works, and why it would be beneficial to us. But Lexapol just simply is a policy management company. And essentially we will turn over all of our policies to them. They will go through them and, you know, they're basically all lawyers, and will determine if our policies are sufficient in their eyes, or, you know, they'll advise us take things out or put new things in. Then when they make their suggestions, they will send it back to me, and then I can determine whether we want to go with the recommendations or not. And they will say this part is required by federal law, so don't cut it out, or this part's required by state law, or this is just best practices. And sometimes some of it maybe won't apply to us and we won't utilize it, but, you know, they will be able to, you know, advise us and put together a document that we can use and adopt as our policies. That's going to be, I think in the long run, that'll be much easier in the future for our policy management. But one of the things that I like mostly is that we can set it up different ways. But let's say I decide that every day an officer comes on shift, they'll get, if I set it up this way, they can get an alert either on their cell phone or on their squad computer saying, you need to do this training regarding this particular policy. So it'll ask questions about pursuits. You know, if this happens, are you able to pursue, or should you not pursue? And it could be as many as one question a day. It takes about, I guess, about 1.5 minutes to do it. But at least then there's documentation that the officers understand the policy, and they, you know, reviewed a scenario based around the policy. And it's not as if, well, if they don't answer the question right, you know, they fail or something. They will just be told why their answer was wrong and to redo it, basically. So it's a good training tool. It's a good for the policy maintenance, making sure that officers understand and you know, have easy access to the policies as well. So if they're on a call and they don't know, they can just get their phone out and look at it and see what the policy says about it.
Do we foresee, given what's been taking place the last few years with all the unrest and all of the politics involved and everything, do we foresee that continuing in the future, where all of a sudden use of force laws have changed dramatically you know, and then something else happens and boom, they change them again. I mean, you can't hardly keep up with some of it. It's gotten, you know, the last couple of years. Do we foresee that kind of stuff happening a lot going forward?
Well, I mean, I guess I didn't foresee what has happened.
Right, I understand
happening.
that, but
So it's, you know, I mean, I guess what's the next thing that's gonna happen that's gonna, you know, turn law enforcement on its head? Who knows? I'm hopeful that, that as far as the use of force policy, which was such a dramatic thing to be, you know, it's been the same for years and years, and all of a sudden now we're gonna, you know, change the language. You know, that was very, you know, shocking, and it creates a lot of anxiety because officers need to be retrained in a new theory of how to use force and new requirements on how to use force and when not to use force. My guess is, yeah, something is going to happen that's going to create a disruption in policies, and policies will have to be redone. You know, the post board is quite frequently adding required policies. Over the last couple of years, I can't remember exactly what they are, but one of the things that you were asked to adopt was a policy on how to do identification of suspects. And it basically revolves around race issues. And, you know, those kinds of things were, to me, would never thought that we'd have to have a policy on that. But I think that the trends are more and more documentation, more and more policies, more and more, I don't want to say restrictions, but more and more accountability to police. I think a policy essentially is the mechanism to which police officers are held accountable.
is Lexapro geared? Do they gear themselves towards the big city, the more like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, Duluth type issues, or are they all encompassing and they take into account, you know, things are a little different in rural areas?
Well, what we would do, you know, Brainerd did something a little different, and I'm not going to speak for Brainerd, but they gave we would do the same. We'll give the policies we have to them. They review them, redo them, and give them back to us. So we can expect that our 100-page policy manual will probably turn into a 400-page policy manual. I'm not even exaggerating, because I think Brainerd's, I don't want to say this for sure if it's fact, but I think they went to like 700 pages. But we can filter through that and not accept what isn't really applicable to us. For example, they may provide some policies on incarceration of suspects. Well, incarceration, I mean jail stuff. You know, we're not going to need to adopt those types of policies. So I'm going to say that our policy manual will probably be bigger, but we're not going to, you know, add on policies that we don't need. We just need to decide whether there are some policies that are going to be required that we don't have right now.
Okay.
So just for today, I mean, no need to get too worried about the money that I quoted here on the last page of the memo, but just go forward, and we can continue to explore the possibility of utilizing Lexapro. Nothing at this point would bind us to doing that. But my feeling is I might be coming back here and recommending that we do go to full implementation. And I do think in the long run, it would be easier, especially in the future when you have a new chief that will have these policies in place and managed for them. So in other words, let's say something does change. Lexapro will tell you, your law in your state has changed. You need to incorporate this language in your policy. And then you'll say, do you accept this? Yes. And then it's entered and done. They don't even recommend that we bring it back for approval with the council, I don't believe. Just if it's required, it's required. But we can do it however you guys want to.
Okay. Any more questions?
I was just curious, does most of the agencies in Crow Wing, Cass, and Medina, they all use this basically?
No, the only agency in Crow Wing County that uses it now is Crow Wing County. And I think all the counties in the state use it, I believe. And if they don't, there's only a couple that don't. Brainerd is in the process of implementation. They're going through the review of policy to see what fits them. And I'm not sure when they expect to be in full implementation, but they are committed to participating. Other agencies in the area are considering it. On the list there, that's just, I think, Crow Wing County list. There's Wadena County is on it, but the city of Wadena, I believe, is considering it. All the Region 5 police departments are kind of being offered the opportunity through Sourcewell.
Okay.
So,
And is this from your background, this is probably the best, or is it the only one that we can go with, or is this the best one that you feel?
there are other places that do a similar type of thing, but this is the most known, and this is what has been decided as a group to go with, if we go with anything at all.
Okay.
There is no cost the first 2 years.
Correct. Assuming that, assuming that we can get funding through Sourcewell, if there's a fair chance, if there's a chance that we don't, then we can either just not continue to pursue it, or we can discuss absorbing the cost and deciding if it fits for us, and if we want to take on the added cost of it and take on their recommendations for policies and whatever.
Not that I don't think they need it to meet state requirements, because just the mandated training, annual training meets their post-board requirements for relicensing. But would any of the training that Lexipol would do or has available to it be eligible for post credit?
It is eligible. All of them are post credits.
Okay.
I mean, I think you got to do like 10 of them to get 1 credit, because it only takes you a couple minutes to do, but I mean, you do get credit for it through
Okay.
post.
Cool. So, any further questions, anyone? So if we could get a motion on the funding application.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recommend or make a motion that we go ahead with this Lexipol resolution for the as presented here today.
I will second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Opposed? Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. And Jesse, if you have any questions on like police policies and that, just give Craig a call and he'd be happy to sit down with you.
Hard to find, I'm sure.
And how it all works. It's a conundrum sometimes.
Let us know.
Yeah. Okay, mayor reports. I don't have anything. Council members, other than, well, I guess the only thing I do is just welcome you, sir. And I hope you enjoy it. And if there's anything that we can do to help, let us know. And we got great office staff, so just if you have questions and stuff, give them a call, and they'll walk you through it. Perfect. All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Since Jesse was a member of the Planning Commission and he had voting privileges, he is not a voting member of the Planning Commission now.
Correct.
The authorized strength is 7 members, 7 voting members. So we are technically short 1 person. And I'm wondering if we should be thinking about authorizing Jenny to go ahead and advertise instead of waiting a whole month to the next board meeting, and authorizing her to go ahead. If we could get a jump on that, it might help. But confusing the situation, Jesse has to stand for election in November if he's going to continue. I'm saying if he doesn't make it and he doesn't get voted in, he could slide back and be a member if we don't have a new member by that time. It's just a timing issue, and I'm just bring the matter up so we can think about it and be a month ahead of the curve. If you want to go that way and authorize Jenny to go ahead and see if we can find somebody and assume that you are gonna make the vote in November. So
That'd be
there's two
fine,
ways.
but what if, what if he didn't make it? Then we already have somebody in that position, so he wouldn't be able to go back.
That's the issue.
It's a gamble nonetheless, but I suppose we'll cross our bridge when we get there. I'm fine with either or.
We could just ask Jenny to do that. We don't need to have a,
We got almost 5 months until the election.
no, but we don't need a resolution to have a council. Does the council have to pass a resolution to allow her to post for that open seat?
No, we can tell her to go ahead, but she may be reluctant without direction from us because of the situation.
Personally with Bethany being new and stuff, I would like to see her have a full. So maybe what we should do is have Jenny and Bethany sit down and see what course they want to take,
Mhm.
but I would recommend that they fill it. I think that's my opinion. What do you think?
I was just wondering, I mean, you have 7 people now, and now it'd be 6 with Jesse gone. What about just leaving it like it is without a vote and hope that you don't get tied?
Well, you can't, we can't let Jesse have a vote to break a tie even, because that would,
Exactly.
that would have to be that would have to change the
Right.
ordinance, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, my personal preference on that is there's some contentious planning and zoning issues that are gonna come to the forefront here this year. And I think that we need to have a full board. That's my opinion. Again, I do not get elected, not reelected, but elected. We'll cross that bridge when we get there and serve Nisswa in any capacity I can down the road. So I think that we definitely need to maintain a full board. That'd be my recommendation.
So do we want to have Jenny and Bethany put that together and look at it and get it posted?
Yeah.
That would be our opinion. on it.
Recommendation, yeah.
Yeah.
Recommendation. Okay. All right,
That's my damage for the night.
very good, sir. We missed you.
We love your damage.
Jesse, do you have
Yeah.
anything?
No, I do not. And again, thank you for the opportunity afforded to me. So I will not let anybody down or try not to.
And now that we have
Awesome.
young blood on the council, when we have to set up tables and stuff, then
I suppose I can do some heavy lifting.
Mark, do you have any?
No, I don't.
All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good.